Thank you for joining us for another segment of Ask Dr. Colette. I have the honor and the pleasure, and I'm going to say that again, the honor to be with Miss Rose Hill, her beautiful daughter Tish Rose Tupper. I had the honor and the opportunity to come a couple of months ago with my friend Renette. She was coming up to pick up a collection, and as she was working with you, I was so overwhelmed and amazed that I just kind of left them to take care of what they were doing, and I just walked around the studio and I got immersed in every piece of art that I saw. And on the way home, I just kept focusing on the mosaic. And I remember as a child how we broke the pieces of plates and we put them back together. So it was some type of, what I saw, a brokenness was turned into beauty.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. So, Miss Rose, if you could just share with us, where did it come from? Where did that inspiration come from?
For the mosaics?
Yes.
Well, the mosaics, it's interesting. I came home from a show that I had done, and I had this little rickety cart with all my wares on it, and it flipped over and everything broke.
Oh.
Yeah, I cried.
Oh.
But I gathered all those pieces and I started making mosaics with them. And they sold.
They sold.
All of them sold.
So from brokenness became some beauty. Yeah.
I sold them all, but through the process I fell in love with mosaics. So now I actually paint the tiles and break them purposely.
Oh, so there's purpose to breaking them.
Now I paint them to break them.
You paint them to break them.
Whereas before I was, they were just broken things that I had to turn them into something because I couldn't bear throwing it away. Because I put a lot of detail in a lot of the stuff I do. So when it breaks, it hurts.
I like what you just said. I break them and then I make them into something else. Exactly. And we could even turn that into some life lessons. Some of us have gone through something that has broken us, but through that process, there is still beauty that comes out. So behind us is a beautiful work of art. And to me, I've fallen in love with it.
Really?
And so can you explain to us this process?
Can you see this piece?
I can, and we have taken pictures of it, so we will show it.
Okay.
But there's something that is into your heart that is what brought it out for you to bring it forth for others to see. And if you could just show us somewhat of a sample of it.
Okay. Well, actually, I'll start with this one. It's on
Thank you.
a slate, but same idea of the head rag.
The women with the head rags, the domestic workers.
Yeah.
And who does she represent?
My mom. My mom was always a domestic worker. And when I was little, all the domestic workers caught the bus to go out to the suburbs to work. And so my mom would take me to work with her. And all these black women at the bus stop, and they were all beautiful women. And that's where this comes from. I just...
And they all had head rags?
Well,
Most of them?
Not at the bus stop.
Oh.
But when Mommy got to work, of course she tied her head up.
Yeah.
Because she didn't want to get her hair messed up at work. So she'd tie her hair up and then she'd do her job. Yeah.
So some would see the head rag as a
too.
negative connotation, but it was a process for her once she got to work to do, to keep her hair nice and neat and to do her job.
Well, I think this imagery, if you're American, we all have baggage related to this imagery. I, on the other hand, I've always looked at it fondly because it reminds me of my mom. And I don't feel, I was proud of my mom. She was wonderful. So I never felt bad that she was a domestic worker. And she never complained about being a domestic worker. So I guess my baggage is different in relationship to these. And my mom used to collect salt and pepper shakers and little things that had women with head rags. And I just love that. I guess that stuck with me. Because I've always liked this imagery. So I love it. I paint it.
Yes, I see.
Because it reminds me of her. She was a domestic worker.
And Tish, could you show us the other one?
Yes.
That recently.
This one is kind of funny because I made it from just broken stuff that was left over from making other things. And my friend Annie Sands, Annie lives in Atlanta now, she sent me these little magnets and I decided to throw them in with it. Because you can put anything into a mosaic, you just grout it in. And so that's what and there are women with the head rag ladies and the cook, the cook. Mm-hmm. The little kids with watermelons.
So what are you? So you would think that the domestic in the mosaic is your favorite, or the one that gives you the most pleasure presenting?
I'm fond of these women with the head rags. Okay. I'm really fond of them. I don't have real favorites, I think, because I just like all of the nostalgia. The story of Little Black Sambo, the Brer Rabbit, Uncle Remus stories.
So what about let's go into that one.
The Brer Rabbit?
Brer Rabbit and Little Black Sambo.
The thing about those two stories, people come into the studio and everybody has different baggage related to our history. This was taught it was read to us in our school, our grammar school. Mm-hmm. They read us Little Black Sambo in school. They didn't read us Uncle Remus. Uncle Remus was, Disney. Disney did Songs of the South. And I think that was in the 50s.
But Brer Rabbit was a book that we did.
Yeah.
And then there was a restaurant. My husband and I was speaking about it. Sambo's.
Sambo's.
It was Sambo's.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just feel that this is part of our history. And nowadays everything is politically incorrect. None of this was okay, and they're taking it away completely.
We need to share it.
I feel that who's gonna know this happened?
Unless they see it and we speak about
who's gonna know? And I feel that black artists, we can do it. We can do it. We'll never trust anyone else to do it.
Correctly.
But we can do it, and we can share it.
Mm-hmm. So, there are those who try, but we want to make sure that it's being done correctly and being presented correctly.
Well,
so falsified.
I just feel back in the day, when you look at my collection and stuff, back in the day, there were things done that were mean-spirited. And you can see it and feel it when you look at the piece. When a person's heart is in the right place, you don't get that same energy from the piece. You might bring negative energy to the piece, but you're not getting it from the piece. Because it wasn't there to begin with.
Because it was done in love.
It was done in love.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's the difference.
Mm-hmm. When it's done in love, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
From the onset.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm. And then Tish, you also have a collection that you are presenting. You want to tell us a little bit?
It's the little boys,
the little boys.
And it's something that was born kind of simultaneously with the girls. But it lay dormant for a little bit. And then I think for me, I always thought I'd have boys for children. And I ended up having a girl. But these boys, I think, were my children that I didn't know.
So you gave birth.
I gave birth to these
boys. Yeah.
And they keep coming. Different hairstyles, different shapes, and all of that. And I have this connection with them. But it also, it's like a marriage with my mom. Her girls and the boys, and it's inclusive. It's inclusive to black men, black boys, grandfathers, all the men that need to see.
They need to see themselves represented.
Right, and they are being represented along with their sisters and their mothers and their aunts.
And I've seen some of the portraits where it is a boy and a girl together.
Yes,
that's
the
collab.
That's
yes,
where
I do love that.
A lot of times I do the backgrounds and then my mother does the girls and I do the boys, and that's our collaboration. You know?
But for years, they've been asking for the boys.
The boys.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because I did the boys in the beginning. Actually, they were basketball players.
Okay.
I started doing basketball players.
Okay.
In the mid 90s.
Yeah. And those were doing well, but I took a break. We had to take a break from each other.
We all need breaks.
You know, but it also was
I didn't
percolating.
need a break.
You know. But I think everything came back. It was divine order in that, and
But we're here.
we're here,
Yes.
and the boys are here, and they keep coming.
Yes.
You know, yeah, it's a
So,
lot.
Oh,
it's,
sorry.
It's interesting with the boys because I grew up in the 50s. So my girls represent how we used to dress.
Well, that's what I was
Right.
going
Yeah.
to say. The way
Right.
they're dressed.
Yeah, we used to have to go to church. You couldn't go anywhere else if you didn't go to church. So Sundays we had to get our hair done, get those dresses on, and we went to church. And that's what, and mostly the kids in the neighborhood, same thing. So we'd all be out there in our little dresses.
Yes.
And that's what the girls represent for me, the way we were when we grew up.
The formality.
Yeah.
And the respect. And the presentation of a young woman.
Yeah, that
That's
all
what I
went
saw
with.
when
Yeah.
I came in. My husband and I have 4 daughters, so when I came in and I saw them, I immediately went to the young ladies and thought, this is how our children looked on Sundays. And you know, and it wasn't that we were trying to put on a facade, but this is how you were supposed to look.
Yes.
You know, as a young lady going
Yes.
to church. So,
Yes.
and then when I saw the young men, it just kind of reminded me of the young men from church also.
Yeah.
So
But
I
now
was-
Tisha's boys, they look more current, like today.
Mhm.
Like
Whereas
today, which
mine
is
look more-
you know, today, you know.
Yeah,
but
you're
I
more
have
current.
but I have done some commission pieces that
Yes.
are reflective of the
The
time,
past, yeah.
right? Where the collaborations where my mom did the girls and I did the boys that were dressed as if they were.
There's a
in
couple
the,
like here.
50s.
Yeah,
You
there's a
you know,
couple
and there's
here.
a few that are
Mhm.
gone. They sold, but
Yeah.
you know. It's
So
not,
the hair.
yes.
So Miss
The
Rose, the
hairstyle,
hair.
you know that.
Yeah.
We wore all those
I
hairstyles.
was like, Miss Rose, you were down to even the part. It was-
We wore all those
Yes.
hairstyles. I mean, most of them I hated, but we wore them. We had to wear them. You had to get your hair, and you couldn't take it loose. If you came home with your braid loose, your mom knew you took it loose. It didn't come loose. So you got to whoop it.
We're not supposed to say that. We'll be charged for that. We can't say that.
It's a different
So,
time.
a different time. So the color girl. Tell me
The
about
color girls,
girl.
the color girls, those plates, that was the color, the name, the little color girls, was what Oprah called them when Gail gave her the gift. She called them the little color girls. So I just went with that,
Okay.
you know, and when I had to create a series for the public, because once I gave Gail her order, Oprah put them on her show, and then everybody wanted them. So I had to create a line for the public, and I had to call it something. So I just stayed with the little color girls.
So is the little color girl still around today?
Yeah, actually, yes. Funny you should ask, because
Should I get the latest series?
Yes.
we've just added, excuse me, series 4.
Okay.
Series 1, 2, and 3, I created them all together at the same time. And people got to choose what series they wanted to buy. So Renette, our friend Renette, she convinced me to do series 4. And this is series 4 Tisha's holding. This is, I'll hold this one because this is the one that,
This is the one that
yeah. I had paint on my hand, you could see.
Yeah, no, I
I
can't.
had a little paint on my hand and I got to redo this plate.
No, I can't.
Because of that. But this is the brand new series 4.
Beautiful. Now this series 4, this is going to not be in, as you would say, available for long. After you do, it's gonna
I
be a
believe
limited
this is going to be a limited
Yes.
edition. I haven't decided how limited it will be.
Okay.
But
So
I
beautiful.
probably will very soon limit this series.
And I love the hairstyle. I mean, I could connect with maybe the one Tish is holding and the one that you're holding closer to you. But this one
is more current,
right?
Like
right.
today's girls.
Today's girl with her hair up in
Her
cornrows
cornrows.
or braids. So I really can connect with this. So,
but the ones with the Afro puffs, so many people like the Afro puffs. Yeah, but these are back in the day that we wore.
Yeah. Thank you, Tish. Thank you for sharing that.
So that's our new series 4. We haven't formally introduced it yet.
But we shall.
But we shall.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what would you like to share? I mean, before we close, I mean, this is for me, like I said, Tish, when I did come in, your mother was, having a conversation, and I think I went from piece to piece to piece, and I was just absorbing all of this, and I just wanted everyone to see it right then at that time, like what I was experiencing. Like, how can we get this, like, even with our younger generation, to not only experience it, understand it, where it came from, and why it is important for them to understand, as like you said, the women at the bus stop. They were going to work to take care of their family. They weren't ashamed of the position that they held. And even though they may have placed a scarf, because it had chemicals, they were dusting, they didn't want it to get in their hair. So it wasn't a demeaning factor. They were doing it to take care of their families. How can we get this information out to the general public, to our children, to understand the importance of their heritage?
Well, Colette, the thing that so much has come out since I started doing this in relationship to how we feel about ourselves. I think it's really important that we start loving who we are, the skin we're in.
No matter what color.
No matter what color. We discriminate within our own culture according to the shade we are. To me, that's ridiculous. It's not ours. That wasn't ours to begin with. Somebody planted that seed, and we took it on.
It was a separation.
Yeah, it was designed to us to divide us.
But it has not conquered. We
no,
shall not
right.
allow
I didn't say conquer. I said divide. We're not conquer.
No, we're not accepting that.
And people ask me, why do I paint black? Why do I paint the faces black? I love black. To me, it empowers me.
Embodies, yes.
It just makes me feel strong. And when I first started painting, I was doing a little pop-up somewhere, and these young girls were passing by my booth, and one girl came over and she said, "Oh, I can't remember what the other girl's name was." She said, "Come over here and look at this, look at this." And she said, "No, we're not that black." And I was like, wow.
Little girl.
That's so heavy. It's so weighty for us to have that self-loathing.
But then there's that baggage maybe she has carried that she's heard,
In her family, she could have been discriminated against. I've heard so many people say, "I was the darkest in my family. You don't understand." No, I do understand. I do understand, but it has to stop somewhere. You can't buy into that. If anything black is ugly, that's crazy. Wherever it came from, we need to send it back.
Well, we know where it came from, so we're not going to accept it anymore. And Tish, your beautiful daughter isn't here with us today.
No, she's not.
So, and it would have just been a beautiful picture to show the 3 generations. But can you show us her last piece?
Her last piece was essentially taking some broken pieces. And making something beautiful. So this was a cart that we found, and she decided to come and put some mosaic into this.
Can you see it?
Yes.
A little cart, and she's currently working on a tea set that will
sit up
top. The pot and the cups
Again,
and saucer.
brokenness to beauty.
And she picks her own pieces. Yeah, she puts it together herself.
Yeah, so
I love it.
It's all in the family. It's a very creative family.
Yeah.
It's the tip of the iceberg.
As we can see.
And, I mean, you don't even know.
Yes. So Tish, what would you like to end with it today? Share.
I would like to say thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for loving the work and sharing, you know.
It is an honor. It's truly an honor. And
Well,
a
the
privilege.
pleasure is ours. It really is.
Yeah. And the more we do and the public sees us, they see the love, you know. And so that's the most important, you know. And, you know, we just keep doing.
Keep doing it.
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a true legacy. This is more like a history, you know, a history lesson. So maybe some art teacher, you know, will bring her students or his students here so that they can actually see the process, you know, that it is not a dying art. So I'm telling you, on the way home, I was literally gripping the steering wheel like, oh my God, like I have to go back. I have to talk to her, you know. And then when I called and she was like, sure, come on back. And then I was like, really? Oh my God, I can come back? You know, I have to interview.
Absolutely.
As much as you like.
Absolutely. I
Thank
think
you.
this is our history.
Thank you.
We need to embrace it so that we can move forward. And you know, people come in and tell me all kinds of stuff. When I go back to Brer Rabbit, recently a woman came and she said, you know, I heard that this is from the Congo. These stories originated in the Congo. And Joel Chandler Harris, who published the book of the Brer Rabbit stories, these were stories overheard from slaves. Slaves were telling these stories to the kids. And because their English was so broken because they weren't allowed to be educated, it was written in that dialect, the way slaves spoke. And I think even that became controversial, you know, where anything that represented the way our life was during slavery, we as blacks don't want to have anything to do with it, don't want to see it, don't want to hear it. But this is our history in America.
And I love you just brought a fantastic point. It was that they didn't capture the whole entire story.
No.
So if I catch only a piece of it, then I don't know the whole truth.
Right.
Right. People
That
feel in the rest.
these stories originated in maybe the Congo, and the slaves brought them over, and they told these stories to kids. Why should that's part of our history that's going to be wiped out because we can't stand to face it. That's crazy to me.
And that is why we have you, Ms. Rose, to continue. And then you're passing the legacy on to your daughter, and now you're passing it on to your daughter.
Yeah, and to other people because we hold classes.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
Where
Oh, so you guys didn't tell me that. Okay.
well we
Yeah.
There we go.
we hold
Yeah.
classes.
We hold classes.
Where, you know, painting sips, creating sips, you know, whether it's the mosaics or even
Mosaic
the
classes.
canvases,
Okay.
you
Yeah.
know, so we bring people together to create and love what they're doing and share, you know, because then they're taking this.
I was going to say now they're
pieces
taking it home.
Yes, and
Oh, wow.
they created it, and then they're having a conversation
Yes.
with their friends and
Yes.
their family. You know?
I just felt right there was another interview coming, a whole other segment coming. Like, oh, my wheels just started like, okay, ooh, this is like a whole PBS segment right
This
there.
is segment one.
Right, this was segment one. This is segment
Yeah.
one, you guys. Oh, I'm so excited. This was segment one. I just like ran over, so, you know, like, ooh, slow down, girl, because I'm just thinking of something else. But again, I am so honored. I am so grateful, and I am so thankful that you have opened up your home, your studio, your heart, that you pour love onto me, that you've allowed me to sit with your daughter. She has loved on me, and so I've shared my family, and you know, it's just wonderful when we can collaborate together and uplift each other. That's not tear down. But
Uplift.
That's what this
And be
is about.
proud of our heritage. Be
Yes.
proud of who we're from and where we're from.
Yes. And what we represent.
And what we represent, you know?
Resilience,
Yeah.
strength, beauty,
Yep.
all of it.
All of it.
In all sizes, shapes, and colors.
All
Absolutely.
sizes, shapes, and colors.
Yes.
This is true.
Yes. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
I am, again, I think I probably said I am honored maybe 100 times, so I'll say it one more because I can't, because this is my show. I am honored. I am so grateful. I am blessed to be with two beautiful women, and this is not the end of it. Trust and believe, this is not the end of it. So thank you for joining in, and please continue to follow us. I will put all of Miss Hill's information and her daughter's information so you too could come for their painting classes, their canvas classes, their paints and sips, and educational classes.
Yeah.
Teachers, instructors,
Yes.
bring your students here because there's so much information that they need to get the truth. So again, I thank you for following me, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.